The grand ballroom sparkled under crystal chandeliers as the annual family gala reached its joyful peak. Laughter and music filled the air. Glasses clinked in endless toasts, and everyone looked their absolute best in elegant gowns and sharp tuxedos. In the middle of it all, my cousin Sophia suddenly swayed, her face turning pale as snow. Before anyone else noticed, her eyes rolled back and she began to collapse right there on the polished marble floor. My heart stopped. I dropped my plate, rushed forward through the crowd, and caught her just before her head could hit the ground. I pulled her gently to the side, away from the circle of dancing relatives, guiding her toward a quiet alcove. Near the terrace doors, no one saw the full moment except me and the soft evening breeze that slipped in when I opened the door for air. I laid her on a cushioned bench, loosened the tight collar of her dress, and fanned her face, while whispering that everything would be all right. Sophia came to after a few seconds, confused and trembling. She looked up at me with wide eyes and managed a weak smile. "Thank you, Elena," she murmured, clutching my hand. I just felt dizzy all of a sudden. I told her to rest, fetched a glass of water, and stayed by her side until color returned to her cheeks. She insisted she was fine, begged me not to tell anyone because she hated being the center of attention for the wrong reasons. I promised I would keep it quiet. Family should protect family, I thought. Little did I know that promise would cost me everything that night. Our family gatherings had always been the highlight of the year. Dozens of aunts, uncles, and cousins flew in from across the country to celebrate Grandpa's legacy and the success of the business he built from nothing. Sophia and I grew up more like sisters than cousins. We shared secrets, clothes, and dreams since we were little girls, racing through Grandma's garden. She was the bright one, always surrounded by admirers, while I preferred the background, helping organize events and making sure everyone felt included. This year, the gala felt extra special because Grandpa had just recovered from a long illness, and we all wanted the evening to be perfect. I spent weeks planning every detail alongside Aunt Lydia, from the flower arrangements to the playlist of Grandpa's favorite songs. Sophia arrived fashionably late as always, turning heads in a stunning red gown that seemed to glow under the lights. She hugged me tightly when she saw me. "Elena, this is magical," she said, spinning around. "You outdid yourself." We laughed and took photos together, arms linked, like nothing could ever come between us. That moment felt eternal. Two cousins who had each other's backs, no matter what. I believed our bond was unbreakable, yet beneath the surface, tiny cracks had started to appear in recent months. Sophia's life looked perfect from the outside. A rising career, endless invitations, a new fiancé everyone adored. But I knew she carried pressure that weighed heavier than any gown. She confided in me once about feeling overwhelmed, about fearing she would never measure up to the family name. I listened for hours, held her while she cried, and reminded her that love wasn't earned by perfection. That night at the gala, when she passed out in my arms, I thought I was being the cousin she needed most, shielding her from embarrassment, giving her space to recover without the whole family fussing over her. After she caught her breath, she squeezed my hand again. "Please don't tell anyone, Elena. I don't want to ruin the evening." I nodded and smiled, helping her fix her makeup so we could slip back into the party unnoticed. We walked arm in arm toward the crowd, her steps steadier now. Everything seemed fine until Aunt Lydia suddenly gasped across the room and pointed in our direction. "Sophia, what happened? Are you hurt?" Voices hushed. Heads turned. Sophia froze beside me, then slowly let go of my arm. In that frozen second, something shifted in her eyes. Fear mixed with something I couldn't name. Before I could speak, Sophia's voice rang out clear and sharp. "Elena pushed me," she said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. I turned to her in shock, but she wouldn't meet my gaze. She pushed me when no one was looking and tried to drag me outside. Gasps rippled through the room. My heart shattered. "Cousin Elena. Pusher." People whispered, staring at me like I was a stranger. I opened my mouth to explain, but the words stuck in my throat. Aunt Lydia rushed over, pulling Sophia into a protective embrace while glaring at me. "How could you, Elena?" On a night like this, I stood there, trembling, tears burning my eyes, unable to believe what was happening. The cousin I just saved was painting me as the villain to save her own pride. The music faded into awkward silence, and the host, Uncle Marcus, stepped toward the microphone with a troubled frown. The room felt like it was closing in, every pair of eyes burning into me as Sophia clung to Aunt Lydia and repeated the lie with trembling conviction. "Elena has been jealous of me for months," she said, voice breaking just enough to sound fragile. She even whispered earlier that she wished something bad would happen tonight. I stood frozen, my hands shaking at my sides, tears sliding down my cheeks, while relatives I had known my whole life looked at me like I was capable of cruelty. Grandpa, seated at the head table with his oxygen tank quietly humming, stared in disbelief. My own mother covered her mouth, unsure who to believe. In that moment, the kindness I had shown felt like the heaviest burden I had ever carried. I wanted to scream the truth, to tell them I had caught her, saved her, protected her. But the words tangled in my throat. Speaking up would only make me look defensive, like the guilty one lashing out. So I stayed silent, letting the accusations settle over me like a dark cloud. Uncle Marcus, the host, and the one person everyone trusted to keep the gala running smoothly, raised his hand for quiet. He had been watching from the small control booth all evening, making sure the slideshow of family memories played perfectly behind the stage. "Please, everyone," he said gently, "let us not rush to judgment on such a beautiful night. Sophia says one thing, but the truth has a way of revealing itself." He glanced at the technician beside him, then turned back to the microphone. "As it happens, we have security cameras in every corner for insurance purposes, even the alcove by the terrace." A murmur ran through the crowd. My heart began to pound harder than before. Uncle Marcus nodded to the screen behind him, and the lights dimmed slightly as the video began to play. Terahit was clear as daylight. Sophia swaying, me rushing forward, catching her in my arms, carefully lowering her to the bench, fanning her face, bringing water, holding her hand while she recovered, every tender second captured without sound, but unmistakable in its compassion. You could see her lips move as she thanked me, see her squeeze my hand and beg me not to tell anyone. Then the two of us fixing her makeup together, smiling, walking back arm in arm, like nothing had happened, until the moment she let go and the lie began. The room went completely still. Aunt Lydia's arm dropped from Sophia's shoulders. Grandpa's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow now, but of pride. Someone in the back started clapping softly, then another, until warm applause filled the ballroom, not for celebration, but for relief that love had won. Sophia's face crumpled. She looked at the screen, then at me, and the weight of what she had done seemed to hit her all at once. Tears streamed down her perfect makeup as she stepped away from Aunt Lydia and walked straight to me through the parted crowd. "Elena," she whispered, voice cracking, "I'm so sorry. Primera pa. Nicht." I was ashamed that I fainted in front of everyone. And when they noticed, the first thing in my head was to protect my image. "I threw you under the bus without thinking how much it would hurt you." She fell to her knees, right there on the marble floor, clutching my hands. "Please, forgive me. You saved me tonight, and I repaid you with betrayal." I knelt down with her, pulling her into the tightest hug we had shared since we were children. "It's okay," I whispered back. "I already forgave you the moment it happened. Family doesn't keep score of hurt. We just keep loving." The rest of the night softened into something sacred. Grandpa called us both to the stage, placed one hand on each of our shoulders, and spoke quietly so everyone could hear. "This," he said, his voice steady despite the illness, "this is what our family is built on. One cousin catching another when she falls, and grace strong enough to heal even the deepest cuts." People wiped tears, hugged strangers beside them, and when the music started again, it felt different, lighter, more real. Sophia and I danced the next slow song together, foreheads touching, promising never again to let fear or pride come between us. Months have passed since that night, but the memory still feels like it happened yesterday. Sophia and I talk almost every day now. Not just about the weather or work, but about the real things. The fears we used to hide behind smiles. She told me later that watching the video of me catching her was the moment she saw herself clearly for the first time. "I didn't just save her from hitting the floor," she said. "I saved her from becoming someone who would sacrifice the people she loved to protect an image that wasn't even real." That realization broke something open in her heart. She started seeing a counselor, began speaking openly about her anxiety instead of burying it under perfection, and even shared her story at a women's gathering in our church. People cried when she described how one quiet act of family love pulled her back from the edge. Grandpa's health took another turn not long after the gala. The doctors said his heart was tired, that we should cherish whatever time remained. We all gathered at his bedside one quiet autumn afternoon. The same family that had stood divided in that ballroom now filling the room with gentle voices and warm hands. Sophia and I sat on either side of him, holding his frail fingers. He looked at us with those wise eyes that had seen decades of joy and hardship and whispered, "You too taught me something that night. I built companies, made money, earned respect. But the only thing that matters when you're re-staring at the end is whether you loved well. You loved well." A tear slipped down his cheek, and he squeezed our hands together over his chest. "Promise me you'll keep catching each other." We promised, voices thick with emotion. And in that moment, I felt the generations of kindness that had carried our family this far. Sophia's wedding came sooner than anyone expected. She and her fiancé moved the date up because Grandpa wanted to walk her down the aisle while he still could. The ceremony was small, held in the garden where we used to play as children. She wore a simple white dress that let her breathe, no tight corset this time. When it was time for speeches, she took the microphone herself, instead of letting others speak for her. She looked straight at me across the tables of flickering candles and wildflowers. "My maid of honor isn't just my cousin," she began. Voice trembling but strong. "She's the person who showed me what grace looks like when it's tested. Elena, you could have exposed me that night and been completely right. Instead, you protected me, even when I hurt you. That kindness changed my life. It taught me that being known fully and loved anyway is the greatest gift anyone can give." She stepped down, walked over, and hugged me so tightly I could feel her heartbeat. Half the guests were crying before dessert was even served. Grandpa made it to the wedding, danced one slow dance with Sophia while leaning on his cane and her arm, then sat back with the biggest smile I'd ever seen. 2 weeks later, he passed peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by photographs of every one of us. At the funeral, Sophia and I placed a single red rose together on his casket, arms linked the same way we had returned to the gala all those months before. We knew he was proud, not of the business he built or the money he left, but of the love he taught us to choose, even when it hurt. Looking back, that terrifying moment when my cousin lied about me became one of the greatest blessings of my life. It stripped away pretense, forced us both to grow, and reminded an entire family what we're really here for. We still have our galas, our celebrations, our fancy dresses and toasts. But now, when someone stumbles, we don't look away. We reach out faster, hold tighter, forgive quicker, because we've seen what happens when kindness is returned with grace. It multiplies, it heals, it outlives even the strongest hearts. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change someone's world. Share this story if it touched your heart.